welcome to another episode of Big Bun Game Club. I am gonna talk about Persona 4, the vanilla version of the game. I will play Golden eventually, but for this video, I am just gonna give you my vanilla experience. So let's get right into the gameplay. It is nice that this game allows you to command the party, so that was refreshing. Coming off of Persona 3, where I was at the mercy of the AI, it was nice to actually be able to command the entire party. However, there just seemed to feel like Persona 4 made some decisions that felt like that they tried to discourage you from grinding, which is not very good in a JRPG. So let's get right into these issues I have had with this game, such as the shuffle time. The shuffle time is fucking garbage in Persona 4. I've talked to a few people who have played Golden who have also told me that they were surprised just how bad the shuffle time was in Persona 4. Uh, it ranges from okay, tolerable, fun to fucking awful. Let's just end it. One being the slot machine. Now, I'm not good with slots and that kind of shit, so to a degree, there is a little bit of a bias for me to be against it off the bat. But it just, every time I saw it, it was like, I don't want to do this. Okay, I'll just try not to get a penalty card, and that was it. Which just sucked that there were a lot of demons I wanted that were stuck in the slot machine version, and it's like, I can't do it. It fucking sucks. I tried every time, and it's like, I could not get the demon I wanted or anything. Then there's one where it just kind of rotates the cards in a sphere that just range and speed, and that was tolerable. But I feel that some of the faster speeds seem a little not not playable. Like it just seems that it was so fast intentionally so that you wouldn't have a say in what card you get, which is whatever. But it just kind of it's like whatever. The one that I sucked at, but I did enjoy doing it, was the one where you had to match the two matching cards to get the shadow you wanted, which is fun. I do like that kind of game. Even though I sucked at it, I did enjoy it. It was fun. It was a fun one. But other than that, I just did not like the shovel time. While in Persona 3, to a degree, those seemed far more doable and fair. The ones in 4 just kind of range from okay to just fucking ass. The other thing is that Persona 3 had this thing called curse cards, which is a nice, like, risk you have in the cards. Like, if you get a curse card, the Reaper will show up on the floor you're on. So that's kind of a nice risk. Like, hey, if you'll get the thing you want, but you'll also get the Reaper. So it's like, oh shit. Uh, you also get in Persona 3 cards for experience, cards for money, health, money, health, and items, and a demon and a blank card. Persona 4, you only get demons, a blank card, or you'll get a penalty card. I do like the penalty card being thrown in. It is kind of a fun punishment, but I do wish there were cards for the experience and the health. Instead, we got this other mechanic that it's fun on paper and it sounds good, but it's not that good. It's the Arcana effect system, and this I do think it's good on paper. Like the way I'm going to describe it is probably going to sound way better than it actually is, but the rewards you get out of it are not worth the risk of the punishment. So you might get on the reward side of the Arcana effect, you might get um full HP or whatever. You might get player advantage every time. You might get more demons instead of any other card in Shovel Time. You might see double money, double experience, that kind of stuff, which is fine. But I kind of would have preferred those to be actual cards than to be a RNG effect that you may not get because the punishment is even worse. Where you might just get more enemies, the enemies will have the advantage. One in particular, this is awful. It's the Death Arcana. I can't remember necessarily what it does, but if you got reverse Death Arcana, you'll either drains your HP and fills your SP, or it drains the SP and fills the HP. It's one of those two. But on top of that, it will kick you out of the dungeon, and you will not be able to go back in until the next day. So the Death Arcana forces you to lose a day. Uh, and that was awful. Like after that, like if I was not streaming Persona 4, I would never do the arcane effects after that. The fact that that's like a possibility of happening, it's like I am not risking this ever again. I want to grind, I want to play these dungeons, and having a card that can kick you out and force you to lose a day, it's like fuck that shit. So the Death Arcana just made me want to drop it. The only reason why I kept doing the Arcana effects on stream was because I thought it'd be entertaining to do that on stream. I thought there was a degree of fun of just doing it to see what I'd get and all that kind of stuff. So I only did it because I was streaming. That's pretty much it. If I wasn't streaming it, I wouldn't do it. So that's really my issue with the Arcana effects, is that once you have a mechanic that's only fun if you're streaming, but shit when you're not, it's like, yeah, cut that fucking shit out. So I did not like the arcane effects, and overall, it just was not worth the risk. All the rewards I got were just like nice rewards, but it's like, yeah, it's not really worth it. It was only worth it just for the fun of it on stream. Otherwise, it's like, man, you could lose a day for no reason. So I'm not a huge fan of the Arcana effect system in Persona 4. The dungeons in 4, I do like that they're more individualized and memorable, unlike 3, where it's just a generic building and they're just trying to get to the top of. I would I would say I still like Tartarus more. There is a degree of similarities in Persona 4's dungeon design anyway, because it's still a flat level design overall, but it does add something that makes it less monotonous, unlike Persona 3, where it's just a lot of floors can feel the same easily. It's just that what made Tartarus work for me is that each floor you go, it adds a new beat to the theme. So that made it more tolerable and fun. The other thing I liked, and this is going to be a hot take, some people may not agree with me, some people might be mad, but I loved the Labyrinth of Time in The Answer. It had a better visual design, it was darker, ominous. The music was heavier. Like, it was such a better style to it. I like the Labyrinth of Time way more than Tartarus. Uh, and more than the dungeon designs in Persona 4. I do like some of the dungeon design, but it's just there. It's a nice change of pace, and you can definitely see that the stuff they did in Persona 4 helped mold Persona 5 into making better level designs and all that. However, the thing I really did not like about Persona 4's dungeons is that there is no checkpoint. Now, I want to clarify, I'm not asking for modern day checkpoints in Persona 4. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking for the same checkpoint system that was in the game before it, Persona 3. Persona 3, it gave me the drive. Oh my god, why? It gave me the drive to go from one floor to the mid boss floor, so that I could use the checkpoint system to go back to the lobby, refill, go back to the mini boss, and try my luck fighting it. Persona 4 doesn't have any checkpoints. The thing they give you is the Goho. I think it's short for Go Home items, which I didn't even use until like halfway through the playthrough, which is like, to be fair, I never used those items in any of the Persona games. Persona 5, there's literally no point using the Goho. I don't even think there's a point. If you use the Go Home items in Persona 5, please explain why. I don't know why you would. You have the fucking save rooms that are way better to use, and you don't have to spend money to use the save rooms. So there's that. Persona 3, as I said, you have the checkpoints, so there really is no reason to use the Goho items. In Persona 4, they kind of force you to use them because there's no true checkpoint. The only checkpoint they give you is right before the boss room, which is fine. It's like, yeah, it's a boss. Like that should be a thing. But I just feel like there should be one on the mini boss floor too. It just I don't like that they put a feature that was in a previous game as an item. So not only are you gonna be spending money on fusions if you need to pull a demon from the compendium, uh, if you need to buy an item, if you need to buy weapons or anything, like you are stuck at that point because the game is very, very, very tight on giving you money. The jobs they give you, it's like, yeah, that pays, but again, you're gonna be sacrificing days of going and grinding for money. So it seems kind of unfair to just lock something behind a in-game paywall, pretty much. So I'm not a fan of how they handle the checkpoint system in 4. So it's whatever. Uh, the mini bosses are solid. They do a good job giving you a skill check. Now, this is the other issue I've had with Persona 4. The fucking battle system. I enjoyed Persona 3's battle system where if you land a weakness, the enemy uses a turn to get up. So it's like, yeah, you knock him down, and then when their turn comes up, they just get up, and then that's their turn. In Persona 4, you can knock them down, but then they can still get up and do their turn normally. And I have people yelling at me in my stream chat telling me, Theo, you have to attack them again to dizzy them. Which, okay, but that's also RNG. You're not guaranteed that you'll do a dizzy. And at first, I was thinking to myself, maybe if I hit the same weakness, they will be dizzied. Maybe that's what I'm missing. No, there was an enemy that was weak to Bufu. Let's say they're weak to ice. I use Bufu on them. They're down. I use Bufu again on them. They still don't get dizzy. So the dizzy is also a degree of an RNG feature that just frustrates me. Because in Persona 3, you would be able to get that. Not that thing you want where you just knock them down, they waste a turn. It's like that level of strategy is gone in Persona 4. While the enemies just seem to have the best RNG. Now, I don't know what it is, but people who are watching me play Persona 4 have told me I have the weirdest RNG they've ever seen playing Persona 4. Every time I play it, it seems the enemies just get the best turnout, while I get nothing. The enemies always land weaknesses, they land criticals, they land all this stuff when they need it, and it's like, what? While on the other hand, while I'm playing the game, it's like, okay, oh, you miss. It's like, okay, shit. Oh, you didn't land a critical, so that killing blow is not a killing blow, so the enemy gets to kill you. It's like, fuck. Like, I don't know what it is, but Persona 4 gave me the worst RNG no matter what. I don't know why. I don't know what the deal was, but the battle system I wasn't too fond of in this version of the game. I liked it more in Persona 3, where it seemed more strategic to utilize and exploit weaknesses, while Persona 4 just seems like weaknesses is part of the strategy, but you're not as guaranteed or safe as it was in Persona 3, which can kind of be disappointing. Uh, So it just doesn't seem there is a true genuine skill level. The other thing is I felt that I was always underleveled in Persona 4. I don't know why. I feel like that I shouldn't have been underleveled with half the stuff I was doing, but I end up being low level half the time. I do like that they when you beat a dungeon and you go back to it, they throw in another boss to fight. That I do like. It kind of gives you an incentive to go back to get better items. So that I like. I like that addition to it. Uh, it just has the same kind of issue with the combat system. The combat system is solid. It just it didn't do much for me. But let's talk about the boss fights. The boss fights fucking suck. I hated the bosses in Persona 4. They all just sucked from everything. I hated them. Persona 3's boss fights, they were at least kind of fun and challenging. The only one I despised was the Geef of Jotun, for obvious reasons. Like, that almost ended the playthrough. While in Persona 4, they felt like sponges. It just didn't feel like no matter what I did, they just tanked it. The first boss fight, I was expecting the minions to be infinite respawns. They weren't, which is so fucking weird because in every JRPG, even games from Atlas, when a boss has a minion, they are always infinite respawn. Always. Yet in Persona 4, they somehow decided, let's not do that this time around. Okay, but the one boss I fucking loathe. I hate this boss. Whoever came up with this boss, I fucking hate them for this boss. The fucking baby boss in the video game dungeon level. That boss fight is fucking trash. It's awful. I almost stopped playing the game because of that fight alone. Like, literally, if you go back and watch the video, the last attempt, you can literally tell, literally, if I did not kill the boss that fucking time, I was gonna stop playing the game. It was literally at that point because it's like I was already tight on time as it was. Like, the next day was gonna be it, and it was gonna end the game. So it's like I had no time to grind. The last save was literally before the boss fight, so there was really no hope in going back and grinding unless I want to go into the fight with low SP. So it didn't pan out in that regard. My team was all right, but the boss kept hammering Teddy's weakness. It just kept hammering little Teddy with his fucking weakness every fucking time. So it really the thought was crossed my brain, like, I can't beat this. I'm underleveled, I feel. I'm not doing anything, and I'm not dealing enough damage that stops the armor from regenerating. So how the fuck do I beat this fight where I'm at? It just because it takes so long. It took me like half the SP to get the baby out of his armor, and then it's like, okay, it's regenerates armor. I need to pummel him again, and it's like the thing that made it rough is that there were so many attempts. My whole party was stacking damage. My whole party, and the baby was still able to put on its armor. And it's like, this is fucking bullshit. So, the last attempt, it was just literally just me being like, look, if this is it, this is it. Fuck this. Like, all the fun went out the fucking window. And it's really to the point where I'm dreading playing Golden because of the baby. Like, I'm thinking, like, after I beat 4 and after I beat the baby, I was like, I have to play Golden at some point, and I'm gonna fight the fucking baby again. And sure, someone's gonna try to cheer me up and saying, well, Theo, at least you know, and you're gonna be better equipped next time. I don't give a shit. That fucking boss fight is fucking trash. It was harder than the final boss fight. And the fact that an early game boss is harder than the final game boss, that sums up what's wrong with the fucking boss fights. The boss fights don't feel balanced at all. Because after the baby, every boss fight felt like a fucking cakewalk. The only one that was kind of hard was the eyeball. And that was only because you had to fight Adachi right before. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's hard, but it's hard for like other reasons. The baby was just hard because it tanked hits, and then it kept landing fucking weaknesses and criticals. It just was such a bullshit fight. And the thing that gets me, not only did I do I know that the baby's in the fuck is in fucking Golden, but I think it was Retro. Shouts out. But Retro said, "Oh, wait until Theo experiences the baby in Golden," and I was like, implying it's even worse. So if the fucking baby is worse than in Golden, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be just dead serious. If I'm having this amount of issues in the baby in Persona 4 Golden, that might just be it for that game too. Because I can't fucking stand that fucking fight. I will die on that fucking hill of the fucking boss baby is the worst boss fight and it ruins the game. It literally dragged Persona 4 so far down. Like I hate it. Like I have issues with the story, which I'll get into later, but I was at least kind of like, well, this is endearing. Okay, whatever. Like it was whatever. The boss baby just made me just hate the game. Like that after that was just like this game is fucking stupid. Like I stopped, just liking it. Like that boss fight just pissed me off to the point where it's like the entire game just it just wasn't fun. Like that boss baby just ruined the entire game. The whole time I was like, wow, this is an easier fight than the baby. What the fuck? This is stupid. These fights are dumb, and it just tainted. It just brought the experience down because it just stopped being like, oh man, this is fun. Just like I just want to get it over with, and that's kind of what happened in Persona 4. As I kept playing the more and more I was just like, I just want to beat this game. I just want to get this over with. Uh, like the only thing that was making me want to play Persona 4, like I said this after it, and people are giving me shit about this, but I have said like, oh man, I kinda miss playing Persona 4, and it's not because of the game. It's because of just me streaming it and me just chilling on stream, just doing shit, doing the Velvet Room stuff, uh making jokes about the S-Links, that kind of stuff. That was fun. Like seriously, the stream of Persona 4 was better than the game. Like that's what I missed. Not the gameplay, not the game, just streaming that. And I've been filling that itch with SMT3. So it's like, it's there, but it's like whatever, it just that baby boss fucking ruined it. The other boss fights are just straight up easy. The Adachi fight's kind of fun. Like it's a straightforward fight. Uh, but my favorite boss fight is the final boss. I do like the final boss in Persona 4. I like the design and the gameplay of it where it starts off and it's like in a straitjacket, like all confined, and you're just beating the shit out of it. Then, like the second phase, it's like it breaks free and it's this big demonic monster. That I liked. My only complaint with the final boss is that I feel the second phase is way too hard for them to expect you to not to like have no HP or SP. Like whatever SP HP you have, uh, from the first phase carries over, and it's like this second phase is way too hard to expect that. In my opinion, like they should just give you refilled SP HP for the second phase. It just did not seem like it was fair expecting you not to have that. The other thing I will say, this is I'll agree it's a little bit of a nitpick, but the music just sucks. The music in the first phase is good. It's like, okay, it's getting you pumped. The second phase, I almost thought the game was broken. Like the music just sounded like it was like doo, 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 doo. Like it just got quiet and it's like is this supposed to be this quiet? Like it sounds like, when you leave a song playing for long enough in a game, it just kind of gets to the end of the track and then it's silent for a bit and then it plays the track from the beginning again. And that's what it feels like. Like it just sounds like they didn't do a good job bridging the end of the track to the beginning very well. I don't know, just the song kind of just did not work for me. Uh the other thing is now this I feel like this was an issue of the emulation, if anything, because I don't know what it is. So when you're going through a dungeon and if you smack a shadow, you should technically have the player advantage. In Persona 4, it just seems like that's not the case. So let's say that this is the shadow, this is the front, this is the back, and you're here, and you strike like here, it would still count as if you hit in the front, so you wouldn't get the player advantage. And for the longest time, I was like, why am I not getting the player advantage? Someone in chat was telling me, Theo, it's because you're striking the enemy like after the exclamation mark shows up. You have to do it before, then you'll get the advantage. I was like, okay. So I did that before the exclamation mark shows up, and I still did not get the player advantage. Where it's like, why? So I'm thinking about this, and I feel it's either one of these two things or it's both. I don't know, but it's either the hitboxes are very precise for a PS2 game, like they either want you to be dead on like behind the shadow, or something, because it seems like if you're like a pixel off, it doesn't count. So it's either that or what I'm seeing on the TV is not is not what the game is rendering. Like I was told, because I was interested in playing the other like SMT games, like Digital Summoner, whatever, like those games. I was told that once I play it, I have to go to the PlayStation's emulation settings and tell it to speed up the game. It said to speed up the speed to like another level, because the default is not the correct level, not the correct speed for that game. So it could be that for Persona 4, maybe it's just how the PlayStation 3 emulates the game, that maybe it's just not showing the accurate data that's going on. So it could be that, but I don't know. It's either that or the hitboxes. I don't know what it is, because it just at first I thought it was me. It's like, okay, maybe I just suck, but it's like there were so many cases where it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm behind the shadow. Why isn't this counting? So I feel it has something to do with the emulation, the hitboxes, or something like that. It has to. It has to be one of those things. Uh, Other than that, the gameplay is pretty straightforward. The only issue I've had, and this is gonna lead into my S-Link stuff. So in Persona 3, if you go through Tartarus, you could always go back to the lobby and refill your SP and HP for free. Like you can refill it. The drawback is that if you keep grinding, eventually your party's gonna get sick or tired, and they're gonna want to go home. So that's the only thing that's capping you from doing endless grinding. While Persona 4, they don't have that system anymore. So it's like, okay, so I can grind endlessly, maybe until like I finish my HP or SP, and then I can just go back to the lobby to refill it. However, it now costs money to regain your SP and HP, which is fine. It's just that the amount they give you is too much. And for you to get a proper price for it, you have to do S links for the Fox, which is fucking trash. I did not like the Fox S Link at all, and I felt like the game hiding something that's useful behind an S Link that's boring and not fun is just garbage. Like, just let me just get the thing I want by any other means. Make the S Link better. I don't know. It wasn't worth going through the S Link almost. And I went through the whole game not doing it, and it came to a head when I was at the end game of Persona 4. You can't leave. You can never leave the TV room at this point, because if you leave, you get the bad ending. So it's like, okay, I can't leave the TV. I have to keep going. So if you need health items, you can't get them because you can't leave the TV. There's no store that's in the TV room to make up for that. So whatever you had leading to the end game, that's what you have. Period. You can't get new weapons, new armor, nothing. There were a lot of party members in my game where it's like, okay, I need to get better armor. This stuff is like early game shit, and I was saving up money to get the good shit. And by the time I was like, okay, I'm gonna go buy the good shit, because I was at the end game, and I didn't realize, oh, once you start that, you can't never leave. Like you're stuck doing it, and it's like this fucking sucks. I have a party stuck with like mid game to early game armor, and it's like this is fucking stupid. I fucking hated that. Uh, so when it came to the point where I needed to refill my HP and SP for the final boss, I kept having to grind for money so that I could just go to the Fox and refill my HP SP before the final boss. That's kind of my issue with it, and especially with the end game stuff as well, which I almost forgot to mention. Uh, it felt like a glitch. So I was getting ready to end the game, and I was like, okay, well, I'm done with Junes. The game says I'm done. I'm gonna go home. I go home, I do all that, and then it gives me the normie ending. And people were like, Theo, you realize that's not the true ending, right? And I was like, what? What did I miss? And it's like, well, you're supposed to go back to Junes and keep bugging the game until it gives you the proper question to answer, yes, I'm not done yet, or whatever. And I'm sitting there like, this seems so dumb. It seems like a glitch. Because you have to go to a door, like the Junes, and mash X until the game decides, oh, you want the true ending. Here you go. It's like, I shouldn't, that it shouldn't be like that. It should just be, hey, you did this thing, you're gonna get the true ending or something. It shouldn't feel like a fucking bug to get to it, and that's how it felt. So that's my only issue. The end game stuff kind of felt a little bit wonky and bullshit because after you trigger that, the game puts you on a fast track to the end, and it's like, yeah, you can't go to the shop anymore. You can't grind. I mean, you can technically grind, but I mean, you're gonna be sacrificing HP and SP to get levels you want for the final boss, and you have to hope you have enough money to heal. So that's what's so bullshit about the fucking fox. It's just not a good fight. It's not a good. It's not a good uh thing to hide behind an S Link, especially when the S Link is fucking dull. So let's move on to the S Links of the game. It surprised me how I think I have done more S Links in Persona 5 when I first played it. My very first playthrough of Persona 5, I have done more Confidants S Links in that game than Persona 4, which is my third Persona game I've played to this point. Like I've done more S Links in Persona 3, and I would say Persona 3 has a lot more cryptic S Links in some cases, but I've done the most in that one. 4, it just all of the S Links seem very fucking boring. Like there were very few that I really enjoyed, and I got screwed over by not able to finish them. My favorite ones were Dojima, which I was able to finish. Uh, AI, whatever her name is. I like that S Link a lot. That one was actually a fun one. Didn't get to finish it. I, I don't think I finished Riseis, but maybe I did. I don't think I didn't even start kanjis, so that one I don't even know how to start, dude. Naoto's I started, didn't get to finish. But I didn't like Naoto's was alright. Uh, I liked the nurse. The nurse was pretty cool. That one was nice. Not the babysitter. Um, oh my god, I'm blinking on her name. The one with the kid. Oh my god. I forgot her name. I don't think it's I. I think I is the student, the girl you play hooky with. Oh my god, I want to say Tetsuya, but I don't think it's Tetsuya. Oh man, I'm blanking on her name, and I feel like I think it starts with an A. The young mother. I'll just call her the young mother because that's what her S Link name is. I like the young mother. That was interesting. Though I will say I am a little concerned where it was heading. I kind of I don't know, but I do like the conflict between her and her son and her her stepson. I thought that was interesting that they both just could not communicate with each other. Like they both were nervous around each other. They both wanted to love each other. Like they both like wanted that mother son relationship to happen, but they just were afraid of each other to talk. And I liked that. That was actually like interesting to see more and more to see how it would develop. My only thing I was kind of nervous about was I kind of was afraid that the young mother was gonna form a relationship with the main character, which I thought would be bullshit because that would be fucking shitty. You're trying to make these two characters talk, and it's like, oh, you talk better than his dad. It's like what? So I don't know how that was gonna end. I'd be very fucking nervous. I didn't get to finish that one because it was just at a bad time. Uh, the old woman I started, I was kind of interested in it, but not like I was curious in, and then the game screwed me over on that one. Stupid fucking game. Uh, well, no, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I liked. Uh, if it's not for like, so the young mother, I, the nurse, I think that's and Dojima, that and Nanako. Those are the only ones I liked, and I didn't get to finish half of them because, the game just fucking sucked. Because I lost track of time. I didn't like the deadline for Persona 4 was told as of like, oh, if the fog shows up, that's when it's over. And it's like, okay, well, the fog shows up after rain. The game says like, oh, the fog shows up after it rains. And I was like, well, okay, it's raining, and then it's gonna be foggy tomorrow. Is that the end? And it's like, no, that's not the end. It's like, I don't know. So I never knew when the deadline was really in Persona 4. I was honestly just winging it, and by the end, I was looking up guides for the deadline. It's like I just want to know at this point because after Nanako, after I fucked that one up, it's like okay, that's enough of that. I want to know when these fucking things are gonna end because that was fucking bullshit. So that's when I started looking at guides for the deadlines. Uh, so I didn't really have time to really prepare for any of these other S links. While in Persona 3, they give you Persona 3 and Persona 5 both give you a calendar where you can keep track of who you can hang out with on what day, etc. Persona 5 does a better job even telling you who's gonna level up. While in Persona 4, it's like they don't have the calendar anymore. I don't know why they got rid of it. Like the calendar is was very helpful. No, let's get rid of it. Okay. Uh, they give you quests to do for certain S links, which are very fucking dull. I'll be honest. Like that's why I didn't care for the fucking Fox S link. It's like, all right, this guy lost a candy cane, but he wants a special candy cane. Can you find him the candy cane? It's like, okay, is it in the shop? No, you have to talk to someone else on a certain day. And then maybe that person is going to lead to another person, and that person might lead to another person, but all these people meet on different days. And it's like, no thanks. Like that that was enough to just dissuade me from doing the Fox S Link. And the story wasn't even that interesting. There really wasn't anything about the Fox that made me care. It's like, oh, the Fox just wants to fulfill wishes. Okay. And that's it. That is it. As far as I know, maybe by the end of the S Link, it's like some tragic thing. I don't know. It's not as interesting as Koro. Being honest. Uh, the the gym fucking S Link fucking sucked with Cow. Cow is that how you say his name? That sucked. That one was fucking boring. It was just hi guys, I'm in an arranged marriage. Fucking sucks. I just want to be a normal guy. Wow, Cow. That was it. That's pretty much his fucking S Link as far as I know. Then there's the Band Geek one, which is also fucking boring. Oh, I'm nervous about playing trombone. You gotta train. You're right. I gotta. Okay, I don't care. Fuck this. Like a lot of the S links, I kind of just didn't care, and the ones that really made me disappointed are the main party S links, and it's a bummer because Yukiko's starts off very, very interesting. Like, oh, she wants to spread her wings. Like, it ties into the main story pretty well, where she felt that she was trapped in the Amagi Inn. Like, she felt like that she was like trapped into doing a profession that she didn't have any passion for, and all this stuff, and she wanted to, try other things. So her S Link was pretty much about that, but she doesn't try anything, and by the end, she just decides, yeah, I actually like the Yamagi Inn. I think I'm gonna stay here. It's like, fuck you. Fuck that. Like, Alice did Yukiko so fucking dirty, and that that really ruined the story. To be honest, like that kind of, after that, it was just like, what is really there about these characters, and it made me really just be more critical of the party. It's like, what do they really offer? Like, what's their character? Like, like Persona 5 even had better development with their characters. Like, those S-Lings felt like that they go somewhere for each character, and it contributes to their story and to their arc. By the end of the game, it's like, yeah, you see by the beginning and the end on how far they've grown. The only one that kind of falls short is Haru, and Haru's just because she's like a late game party member. So it's like, yeah, Haru is the only one with the short straw. Same with like Kasumi, but that's a whole other thing. I talked about that in my Persona 5 video. But with Persona 4, it's like Yukiko is an early game party member, and you have this interesting conflict with her, and then you're just gonna end it with, I actually like the Yamagi, and she didn't even get to try anything. She didn't try any other profession. She spent the whole S Link telling the character how she wants to try new things. She wants to expand her horizons the whole time. And during that time, the Yamagian kept having this bullshit being thrown at her, like, oh, this guy wants you to work there, or whatever the fuck, you know? And then it's like, you know what? All of this stuff made me realize I like the Yamagian. Then what was the fucking point? Like, her whole, like, the boss design for her, the shadow design for Yukiko was literally a bird in a cage. Like, it was like on the nose. Like, look, she's trapped. She feels this way. Alrighty, max out her wrestling. She wants to stay there. It's like, what? This is fucking stupid. Like, her S Link literally went nowhere. There was no development. And the only development you can argue it had was that Yukiko had feelings for the main character, which is like the fucking waifu shit that's in Persona. And this is the issue with Persona 4, is this is the game that introduces anime bullshit. Persona 3 had it, sure, because it had the beach episode and all this stuff. Sure, but the characters felt full and like interesting and compelling. They have their flaws. They grow. They expand. Like the end of the game, they're different from where they started. Same in the answer. A lot of people dunk on the answer, but the answer has good characterization if you just like understand that, yeah, sure, some of the things are fucking rushed in it, but I like the idea that they were going for. I talked about that too in the Persona 3 videos. But these characters feel robbed. Like every party member, they give an S Link, and it's just like, what's the point? I can't even tell you what the story was of Chie. I can't even tell you. The only thing I remember was that Kato's getting bullied, and Chie stepped in to stop the bullies, and then the guy who was bullied was like, "Oh my god, you fucked everything up. Now they're asking me for more money," or whatever the fuck, or whatever. And that's all I remember. I don't remember anything else. And it's like, this is the S Link for Chie? Is just fucking nothing? And Yosuke, it's just, I was bored with Yosuke. Like, it was a meme on stream that I just didn't do Yosuke's S Link all the way until like the winter. All the way until like December or October, whatever the fuck. It was when I finally maxed out his S Link. And it was fucking boring. Oh, man, this character who died in the beginning of the game, I miss her, but whatever. Oh, these other two girls just want to get sick days all the time. okay, well, I try to give you a sick day, but you gotta go to work. It's like, Yosuke was the biggest fucking pathetic piece of shit throughout his S-Link. It was just him just simping for these two girls for no fucking reason. These girls were stepping all over him, and he's like, oh man, it is what it is. And then it ends with him saying, oh, main character punched me in the face. I was an asshole. Okay. And it's like, who fucking cares? Like, Junpei had a better fucking character arc than fucking Yosuke, because Yosuke had the same kind of conflict with the main character as to, like, he kind of wanted to be the main leader guy in the team, but he ultimately knew the main character was the main guy, so it's like, okay. And by the end, he was like, yeah, you're right, man, you are cool. And it just wasn't a compelling arc. Junpei was just far better. It was a far better story to tell. Persona 4 just seems so fucking shallow with its characters that it just seemed like the game had no confidence in them. The fact that they kept defaulting them to just where they began is pretty sad. Another character that's a victim of this is fucking Kanji. Just in the story itself, I didn't finish this link or even started to be fair, but even in the story, like, he doesn't make any fucking development. He In the story, it's just he he's insecure about his feminine hobbies, which is bullshit. Art is not feminine. Is not a feminine hobby. It's fucking art. Like, really, Alice. Secondly, after his fucking story in his main story, he's like, yeah, I'm okay with that. I accept it. And yet he still acts throughout the entire game, mind you. He still feels insecure about his fucking hobbies. Even after everything. And I have gone to Twitter arguments about this, and people keep telling me he can't change within a day. Like, you think he's gonna like confront his shadow, then the next day be okay? What the fuck, Theo? It's like, the game takes place within a year. I'm pretty sure within a year you're gonna be at least semi-secure with your hobbies. Like, that's a more than enough time for Kanji to be less insecure than he was when you first met him about his fucking hobbies. And by the end of the game, he seems the same person when you met him. Like, it's just, that's the only in-story issue with Kanji and all that. But with the S-Links, it's just that the S-Links feel like they have no bearing on their development. The cow, I can't honestly tell you what I remember of his fucking S-Link. And then you have fucking Rise. Rise was at least interesting, of like her trying to break free from being like a pop star, which I kind of liked. It's like, okay, this is interesting. I honestly can't remember if I beat it or not. I think I did, but I'm no, I did, because her persona did get a reawakening, so I did beat it. I just don't remember the ending. I think it was just her being like, "Oh, it is what it is." You know, if someone else is gonna take the mantle, another generation, I'll be okay with me, which is more fucking development than of the other characters. Yosuke sucks. Terrible character. Yukiko fucking wasted potential. Just fucking made her go back to the beginning of the game, pretty much. Chie is a nothing character. I like Chie, but her S Link is fucking nothing. Like, you're honestly, these S Links just feel you're only doing them just for the party, just to get their second version of their persona. You're like, that's it. The story is not interesting, so there's really no point. Uh, and that's the majority of the party members. Like, Naoto's was interesting, and I didn't get to finish it, unfortunately. But even that I've done of hers, it's like I don't really care. It's like, I have a feeling that that's gonna end with like her grandfather was the Phantom Thieves the whole time, and he was just kind of playing a game with her, or whatever, or was or a boy that liked her or some shit. It's like, I'm sure it's one of those two things, and I just it was like I didn't get time to finish it, and that is the issue with the S Links in Persona 3 4 is that they're fucking boring, and I didn't care. I didn't care about going back to them. Like, I really wanted to finish the young mother one, because that one was interesting, and I was also interesting. I had this cool mechanic where on certain ranks you could either become just friends with her or you could romance her, but depending on which one you choose is either going to end the S Link completely or it's gonna reverse it, or whatever. And I liked that. That was actually good. It was actually interesting, and her character had fucking development from what I could tell, because she starts off her wrestling being a bitch, being like, "Oh, okay, whatever." But then as time goes on, you start to understand that she's only been a bitch because everyone assumes she is. Like no one gave her a fair chance to open up to them. They all just assume she's a bitch, so she's like, "Oh, you think I'm a bitch? Fine, I'll be that bitch." And then she just was what she was. And then by the end of the game, she was like, "Yeah, you know what? I don't care what they think. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nicer. I don't care if they think I'm gonna be a bitch or whatever. I'll just be me. I don't need that. I don't need their fucking approval." And it's like, this is development. She starts off on in one place and ends in another by the end. The only thing I'm nervous about this fucking S Link is that it's gonna default to where she was from the beginning, which I hope that wasn't the case. But I liked her S Link because it at least went somewhere. It started somewhere and it was going somewhere, which is more than what I could say about Chie, Yosuke, and Yukiko. I'll be fair with Naoto and Kanji since I haven't finished their wrestlings. I'm not gonna criticize their wrestlings all the way. Uh, the other one I started was Sakuya? The- I'm gonna call her Sakuya. Sorry, Sakuya's brother. I tried to do that one, but it was like on every Sunday or some shit, and it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm like already behind on fucking levels, and that ain't doing me any favors. So I do feel like the S links, even though the S links add rewards for doing them, they just I just did not like them as much as I liked 3 and 5. I did it was the only game where I didn't even do all enough of them. I did very little S links, and it's like this is fucking stupid. Uh, then you got the story. So let's get into the story of Persona 4. Overall, the story is generic. It's safe. It's safe in the sense that it tells a very simple murder mystery story. It starts with a very easy premise, and it kind of layers on top of that. So I'll be honest, I am a little burnt out on murder mysteries. So I kind of was not feeling it with that. It's like, okay, oh, is that person the killer? It's like I just was I'm just burnt out on it, so it's like whatever. Uh it does do things that I did not like. Like I mentioned in the Persona 5 video where I don't like stories where it's like a bunch of kids wander into a magical world and the adults don't understand. It's like I don't give a shit about that kind of story. It's just I don't like it. It's not interesting because you'll have to sit through kids just talking like this this world is so different. It's like this, and then like we can't tell the parents about this one. And it's like I do not give a shit about that kind of stuff. And Persona 5 to a degree was that, but it at least kind of subverted the expectation and kind of didn't focus on that. Persona 4 was all that, and it's like, okay. So I didn't really like that at all, where it's a bunch of kids learning about this mystical world. Didn't give a shit about that. Uh, but as it went on, it was interesting that it kept throwing like red herrings as far as who killed these characters and all this stuff. And I do think I think it's nice that they had that it wasn't just one person doing it. It was like a conjunction of two people of the of Namatame and Adachi both doing shit. I do like that they both kind of aligned uh with what was going on. I do like that because that did a good job throwing you for a loop and be like, "Whoa, what the fuck? It's this." I will say I don't think the Adachi twist ages very well. Not like it's the same thing with Akechi in Persona 5. Though I will say I think Persona 4 does it slightly better, where it's like it kind of it's more tongue in cheek with, hey, Adachi's the killer, but maybe he's not, maybe he is, but why? While Persona 5, you're just playing and you see a catch, it's like, yeah, this guy is gonna be a bad guy. He's gonna betray the party at some point. And then he betrays the party, and you're just like, yeah, okay. So at least Persona 4, at least it's kind of like it plays with that twist a little bit, which I kind of liked. But I don't think it's that impactful anymore. I think when the game was new, it was, but I think now it's just so many games and movies and shows and all this stuff has characters that are just like Adachi. And now if you're just playing Persona 4 for the first time, like you're gonna see that twist a mile away since you've seen it in other things. So it's, I don't know, maybe for the time it was ahead of the curve, or maybe just at the beginning of it, but now in the current year, it's like, yeah, you've seen this twist before, so like it's whatever. But I do like Adachi's character kinda until like the end. Like, so let's just start with just the shadow stories with the party members. So you start off with Sakui, I guess, is the first one you bump into, but she was like one of the first characters that died. So you fight that. You fight Yosuke's shadow because Yosuke's a pathetic loser. So you fight his shadow. He becomes a party member, and then you fight Yukiko's shadow because she feels trapped in the Amagi Inn and all this stuff. Then you fight Kanji's shadow, and as I said before, he doesn't really make any development over his insecurity over his hobbies, and I think the story for Kanji would have worked better if he was just gay. If they made Kanji gay and it was more about the conflict of him accepting that he's gay, like that's his personal truth, it would have worked better because the whole theme of Persona 4 was accepting of acceptance and accepting your true self. And I think the conflict of Kanji trying to accept his true self, it would have had more of an impact if he was gay. Of course, some are going to disagree with that, which is whatever. But even if we just look at what the game gives us, right? And it's just okay. He's just having to accept that he likes some feminine hobbies. It's okay to like some feminine things now and then. Okay, but even by the end of the game, when it's like a year later, Kanji is still insecure about his hobbies and about his feminine hobbies as well. Like he's still insecure, so he didn't really change after you fight his shadow self at all. So it doesn't really seem to matter because even if he was gay, let's say, I don't think Alice is would even handle it right. You know, like after seeing how they handle him just with the basic stuff that they give us, it's like, yeah, he's still insecure. So I mean, whatever. It's just, why have this conflict if there's no meaningful payoff? Like if you're not gonna have the character fully own his hobby by the end of the game, then what was the point of this conflict? Like there's really no learning that these characters go through that's meaningful. It just seems shallow and just as an excuse to have them be party members. And if you look at the other Persona games, like Persona 5 gives each character a meaningful scene that pays that gets a payoff. Like Makoto starts off as a very timid and, you know, obeys the rules kind of character, that she just obeys what her expectation is. Like she's expected to be like her sister, so she just goes off of that. And by the end of the game, she changes and she realizes that that's not the best way to live life, and she learns that through being a phantom thief, awakening to her persona, all this stuff. Like her phantom thief costume resembles her inner feelings of that she really wants to be a rebel. She wants to break free from the bond from those expectations, and she does because she sees the case and throughout the game and differently than how Sai sees it. Where Sai sees it more rigidly and more like, oh, they're wrong because they're vigilantes and this and that, while Makoto's like, well, I mean, we're doing shit, like whatever. And there's really none of that in Persona 4. None of the party members get that moment because the game doesn't give it to them. Not even in their S-Links. Like, nothing in this game really has any meaning. Like, there's no callback to those events. Like, one of the things that was very heavy for me playing Persona 5 was when you're going through the Velvet Room and trying to regroup with your party members. Like they're all like bummed out. They're like just like, what are we doing? Like this guy is like he outnumbers us. Like what chance do we have? And you have to like remind them like why they joined in the first place. And that served as a callback to where they were at the beginning of the game to show them how far they've went as a character. Persona 4 doesn't have that. They just tell you that they have it, but it has no meaning. There's no meaning as to what they do throughout the game. They just say that they've changed, but they don't really show it. And the other issue with the story is that the characters are unlikable pieces of shit. I the only characters I liked are just Yukiko and Rise and Chie, and they're just because they don't do anything fucking annoying. Like the worst characters in the entire fucking game that I fucking despise is fucking Teddy and Yosuke. These two are the worst characters I've ever seen. I hated them. Every time they fucking talked, it was just I wanted to tell them to shut up. There's a part in the story where Yosuke forces the girl party members to participate in the beauty pageant, which they don't want to do because they think it's fucking stupid. And Yosuke forces them to do it because we get to see them in the swimsuits. And it's the same anime bullshit, and it's just so fucking lame. There was technically comeuppance for Yosuke, but it doesn't really happen. It's just bullshit. It's just I don't like Yosuke. He never learns. Like there's like he gets the comeuppance, right? He's like, okay, well, we signed you up for this stuff that you don't want to do. Doesn't that suck? And instead of Yusuke like learning, like, oh damn, man, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. And instead, he's like, how dare you do that? That's fucking uncalled for, bitch. Like, and it's like, what? Like, this is supposed to be a likable character. A character does something fucked up to their friends. Their friends do back to them, and the person has no self awareness that maybe what he did is fucked up, and it's just fucking stupid. And I just hated Yosuke the whole time. I will say that Teddy's only slightly better than Yosuke because Yosuke actually I feel committed some fucking crimes. I'll be honest. Teddy, I think, would just be an accomplice at some point because Teddy's a fucking idiot. But Yosuke is a fucking asshole. I hated Yosuke. I didn't give a shit about him. I benched him hard throughout the whole playthrough because I didn't care. The only time I only brought him back is because he could confuse the enemies, which is like that's it. That's all he served for me. But Yosuke is a piece of shit. Never liked him, and the story didn't make me like him because the story kept showing him being an asshole. And it's like, okay, yeah, he fucking sucks. He stole hospital records of the party members to look at their breast size. No, excuse me, that was Teddy. Whoops, almost blaming the wrong person. It was fucking Teddy. That's part of the problem. Like the the characters are just not likable characters. Like I didn't like those characters as much as I liked the party members in 3 and in 5, and I just started 2 and I like those party members far more than 4. It's just these characters just seem like assholes. Like, and I will say that the kind of humor that's in Persona 4 is not my favorite humor. It's just kind of lazy. Oh, we're gonna have Yukiko and Chie cook, and they don't know how. Because like the stereotype is that like women are great cooks, and these two are gonna suck. It's like okay, this joke fucking sucked. It sucked in Girl in the Gone, sucked now. The only thing with the Girl in the Gone, that at least like had a payoff because only Simone was able to eat Nia's cooking, so like that at least was like something that it was a trait or whatever. But this just was embarrassing. Uh, the whole thing with Naoto, I will say like over time I kind of I'm gonna have a hot take on Naoto for a hot minute. Uh, I will say I understand. I understand why some people think Naoto's story would be better off as a trans character, and as I said with Kanji, it kind of ties better with the themes of the game because Persona 4 goes out of its way to talk about accepting of your true self, embrace who you are and all this stuff. Like every time you fight a shadow, the character like is at first like you're not me. You're not me. No. No, I no. And then like they become a monster and you have to fight them, and then at the end of the fight it's like, I spent all this time running from you, but you are me. So the story with Naoto, I could see it work as a trans character. My issue with Naoto's character is that they try to write it as a commentary on sexism in the workplace, but they don't do a good job with it. They also drop the ball on that because they mention like uh that she dressed up in a way that she perceived how a detective looked. And it's not that she wasn't happy being a woman. It was more like, well, people take men seriously as detectives, so I can't be a woman and and a detective, so I just dress the way I do because that's how I see them. But I like being a woman. It's like, okay, it just seems like it just would have been better if they just had her be a woman trying to be serious. I don't know, like I'll be honest, it just seemed like a weak link because I don't even think the commentary on sexism is that compelling for that character. There's other ways you could have a commentary on sexism, but it kind of flies in the face of the themes of Persona 4, where Persona 4 is about embracing truth. Even the final boss brings that up. Like, oh yeah, people want to like uh hold on to lies and all this stuff. People don't want to accept the truth, so they accept a lie instead or whatever. And I just don't see why Naruto being trans wouldn't work with the themes of Persona 4. I think it would work better than what they went with. I will say I'm not like vehemently like game sucks because of that. I just think the game sucks anyways. Like the story just isn't that good even from the start. Like again, I'll just reiterate this. The thing that made me say fuck the story the most is Yukiko. Again, they did her dirty by just having her go back to where she started in her wrestling. Like, why the fuck do they think that was a good fucking idea? Fuck you, Atlas. Like, you have a good character like Yukiko, and you waste it. Oh, she wants to break free of her cage. No, she doesn't. What's the point? What was the point? Like, yeah, so that storyline with Yukiko really just said, yeah, this story's gonna fucking suck ass. If that's the quality of writing for the character, is that she ends where she started. This story is already at a bad start for me. You then get to Adachi. Now Adachi is a character that I want to say I really really wanted to like. I really wanted to like his whole thing, but I don't. It's fucking stupid, and this is probably another grave fucking failure of the fucking story. So I initially thought the reason why Adachi was the murderer was because he had father issues. Like, oh, I don't remember my initial thought as to why. It's been a while, okay? So excuse me, but I thought it'd be something interesting. Instead, the reason why Adachi started killing people was he wanted to fuck everyone. Like he saw this girl's like, oh, you're hot, and she's like, no, you're a fucking weirdo. Get away from me. Oh, how dare you say that to me? Oops, I pushed you into a TV. Oh ho ho. Wait, the thing inside the TV killed her? Well, that's crazy. All right, Sakuya, whatever, shows up. Hi, you're hot. I wanna fuck you. You're fucking weird, dude. I'm weird. All right, push you into the TV you go. Oh man, you're dead. Oh, I didn't kill you. The fucking demons did. And it's like, this is the villain. This is why he did all these things. Is because he wanted his dick wet. Like this is the motive. This is the motive. Like I like the motive of him wanting to pit the detective group against the police. I like that. That was fine. I I think him being an agent of chaos was interesting, but they did nothing with it. It was just only on one little thing that was a thing, but the rest of his character was about just I wanted to fuck these girls and they didn't let me, so I got mad and I pushed them to a TV, and here we are. Like he mentions a previous job as a detective in another city, and they threw him into a village because he made a mistake, and it's kind of that was kind of like a thing that they just set out, and they never went back to it. They never elaborated to it. They never did anything with it. They just throw it out there, and it's like that was it. And it's like there's stuff in Adachi that's interesting and sad, but they don't use that as a big thing. Like it's more of to give an idea of who Adachi is, sure, but they don't make it a motive. Like because he tells you just directly that yeah, I started killing people because I pushed them to a TV and I thought it was fun or whatever the fuck. And it's like this is the fucking character. And the thing that made me just say fuck you to the fucking game was as you're going through Adachi's area, Adachi's level, which is a good level by the way. I like that level. He constantly talks to each floor, and one thing he tells you, and this I was with him, like I was like, yeah, this is fucked up. Like because he brings up how the public goes off by anything the TV says. Like a TV says this guy did it, and everyone agreed. Like everyone agreed that it was that student the first time. It was this student that did all these murders, and everyone eat that shit up. Like I like that idea that Adachi was highlighting how fucking stupid people are. Like that was great. But then he says on another floor, you're as bad as me. You're the same." I'm like, "Bitch, you fucking killed people. We didn't like the main characters did not go into the TV world and happen like it's not the same because Adachi literally pushed people in himself and was like and he knew what was on the other side. The main characters they went in the TV themselves. By the way, they didn't force anyone else to go in. Uh, and they were able to defend themselves, and they were doing it to protect people from getting murdered. So this little monologue of how they're the same makes no fucking sense. Like and I think, to a degree, I feel Alice knew that that was a fucking bullshit angle because they kind of touch it up again in Persona 5 because Persona 4 has goes out of its way of giving Adachi the same persona as the main character. So like you can see the parallel like immediately like they're the same. Is that they might have some different circumstance or whatever. Like Adachi's pretty much the evil, chaotic side of the main character, but there was nothing in these characters that were parallels at all, or anything that complemented each other. It just like it's only just order and chaos, and that's pretty much it, which is fine. But there really is nothing other than that Adachi can have the gall to say that we're the same. While with Persona 5, when Akechi goes on and on about how the Phantom Thieves are just like him, he has a point. Akechi is in Persona 5 the darker result of what the Phantom Thieves could have been if they were pushed enough. Because Akechi took the law in his own hands and did shit to get even with the person who he thought was wrong and corrupted. But he did things in a fucked up way. And the Phantom Thieves are like the righteous side of that coin. But it's like you see the similarities like right off the bat, and it plays off of even the design of Akechi and Joker's design very well. While Adachi and fucking the main character in Persona 4, there really is nothing more than, well, if Adachi is chaos, then the main character has to be order. And it's just, that's it. And that was lame. Like, Persona 4, the story really has all these good ideas, that are all executed in shitty ways. And that, the more I played, the more disappointed I was with the story. And then we get to the main real villain. I honestly can't remember the name. I want to say it's Lucifer, but I don't think it's Lucifer. I think it's some other name with an L. And this one I thought was, it was good, but I don't quite uh, I had some questions about the fucking character. So the character brings up how, well, no one is happy with truth. Like, truth can be painful and hurt people. So people usually opt for the lie. They go for the lie like it's candy. They live off it and all this stuff. Like, they go off of what they're told because they don't want to accept the truth that something that's more fucked up is true or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I like that idea. The only the only issue with that is that it would imply that they would never like, these people would never listen to any other evidence or anything. Like, they were just like in Persona 5 when Yabba Dabba Doo mentioned how, like, people longed for control and to have the safe life where they don't have to worry about failure and all this stuff. Like their lives are decided for them by the god of control. And it's like, yeah, you see that with the palace rulers. You see that with just this, with the society of how things worked and how they all longed for the holy grail, and how, how easily they were controlled by a bigger might, such as the prime minister and all this stuff. So all that thing was very tight and told a compelling story that made you want to root for the Phantom Thieves to break the chain of control and all that shit. In Persona 4, the reason why it fails is that when the game shows the individuals talking about the murder cases, they are always open to new evidence. Every time new evidence is shown, they're like, yeah, we thought it was this guy, but look, this evidence is there, so I mean, so this guy could be the killer. And it's like, yeah, they're listening to evidence and they're basing thought, like, their thoughts on that. And the evidence is not, and it's not a lie. The evidence is there. It's just that they were told the wrong killer, but there's evidence that supports that too. All this shit. And it's like, it's never conveyed that the people were just like it it would have worked better if people were just tired of hearing about this case. Like, look, we got the guy already. Why are we talking about this other person? And to be fair, yeah, there were some people in Persona 4 that said that. Like, we already solved this case. Why are we talking about it again? And that's fine. But the majority of the people you see in the story as it progresses, they're also open to the idea that there's more to it than what's being shown. So when the main villain is openly telling you that they all accept a lie immediately, you're just like, wait, no, because they accepted other stuff. Like, they're always, and they're critical of the things that they're shown. Like, they've shown individual thought before, so how does that work? So it just kind of just falls short because it just doesn't have the logistics of what the characters are going through each time that a new suspect is shown. Uh, but as I said, like, I think Persona 4 has solid ideas, and that's really the thing. I know I've been like dogging on this game for like an hour or so, but it's just that there's a lot of stuff in Persona 4 I think is solid as an idea. It's just, I don't think it ever expands into anything or goes to anything meaningful. And a lot of people want to say Persona 5 is the Persona game that is made for the normies and made for the mainstream public, when in reality, I would say Persona 4 is that game. Persona 4 has the highest amount of anime bullshit I've seen compared to Persona 3. Persona 3 only anime bullshit it had was the fucking beach segment and the bathhouse, and that's it. While Persona 4 has like um party members that are all anime tropes, story notes that are all anime tropes, all this stuff that just adds up that you've seen in other animes. Like playing Persona 4 really made me remember why I stopped watching anime for a long time, because I just got tired of the same kind of shit. It's like, oh, okay, well, gosh, she has big boobs. Oh my god, but actually, she might be a man. Oh, she's fat. Oh my god, the guys thought they were gonna sleep with a hot lady, but then they find out she's fat. And this is the other thing I want to bring up: the fucking fat character. This, I'll be honest, I rarely sit in a game and like I'm so offended or anything like that. I'm not. I'm whatever. I'm whatever on a lot of things, but I felt like it was borderline offensive with what Persona 4 did to represent a fat person. Like, I really thought, like, every time that they show that character and she was, like, snorting like a pig, I was like, this is fucking shitty. Like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. Like, yeah, I think Persona 3 also had a fat ass too in that game. And I've not done that S link, so I can't really tell you anything about that character, but I'm sure it's gonna be as bad as this. But this was just every fucking time. It was like, holy shit, this is the joke, guys. She's fat. It's like, oh my god. So that aside, like you could tell that they tried to make Persona 4 more accessible. I think Persona 4 really laid the groundwork for Persona 5 to build on and to improve and to refine. I do think that there's a lot in Persona 5 that worked better because it failed in Persona 4, so they refined it. And I wouldn't say Persona 4 is not worth playing. I think if you are going through Persona just to see where it came from, I do think it's worth playing. Like I do like playing Persona 4, and as much as I moaned about the baby boss in 4 that was a fight again in Golden, I am curious to see if my opinion in Golden is gonna change, because I have seen gameplay of Golden and it looks a lot better. Like it looks like that they fixed the engine too, so maybe I'll be able to get player advantages easier than I did in the vanilla game, maybe. And maybe a lot of the quality of life improvements are gonna help, because always these second versions of these Persona games always do better. Like look at Persona 5 to Persona 5 Royal. They added a lot of good stuff to it that made the game better. Same with Persona 3 to Persona 3 FES. So I am curious to see how Golden plays out, and I want to see what they fixed and what they changed as well. So I am curious as to where that's gonna go, because the vanilla game, I really just, to a degree, it kind of feels unfinished, because there's things in it that just don't seem like it should be. Like when I was done playing Persona 4, it really felt like that Persona 3 was a better game. Like there were things in 3 that felt light years ahead of 4, and it's like, why? Why am I feeling that way? Usually it should be the other way around. And then when you go to Persona 5 feels like it's ahead of Persona 4. So I don't know why Persona 4 is the only game that feels like that it went back. And I'm not asking, and before people meme at me about like, oh Theo, you're asking it to be more easy. It's not the challenge or the difficulty that's the problem. It's just some of the systems that were in Persona 3, and 3 is still a hard game, are missing in 4 for no reason. Like I don't understand why we couldn't have the same checkpoint system that was in 3 and 4. I don't know why the combat system is different from 3 to 4. From 3 to 4, like 3 had a better system in my opinion. Uh, so 4 was ultimately a disappointing game as far as what I was expecting. I am glad I played it because I at least got a chance to have an opinion on it instead of going off of what is popular off of Twitter or whatever. I get to form my own opinion on it. It was interesting to see that as I was playing 4, it really did feel like that a lot of it formed 5. Like it just felt like a prototype for what Persona 5 ran with. I do, and I will say, as much as I also uh am dogging on Persona 4, I will say I understand why people love 4. I get it because 4 does have uh a good visual style. It has a decent story. I do see why some people might like the characters. It's just the characters don't do enough, especially when Persona 3's characters really spoke to me. Like I really enjoy the conflict. The fact they have like characters like Yukari and Mitsuru that are like rival type characters. It felt real, and each of these characters were failures that they came to terms with. While in Persona 4, it just seems like the main character's perfect, everyone loves him, and these people have to revolve their lives around the main character, and it's like, oh, okay. But I do think in some portion, like as I said, I liked Yukiko and I liked Chie. It's just that their stories were not that interesting. But I like the character. Like I like that Chie is into to like kung fu movies. I like that about her. That's actually really cool. It's like you see her and she's like talking about a fucking Bruce Lee film or whatever. It's like, oh, this is fucking rad. This at least is some nice characterization. It's just there's no real payoff or growth with these characters. And it just goes with what I said before that Persona 4 has all this potential and it just doesn't really do anything with it. It just kind of meanders around and it's like, oh, okay, here you go. Like, so that is my issue with Persona 4 and my general thoughts. If I were to rate this game, my rating from since it's just me playing this game and it's not a typical game club video, it's gonna be out of a rank of 10. I would give it. I honestly probably a 6 out of 10. I was gonna give it a 5, but I felt that was a little too harsh. I would be fine with giving it a 5 out of 10, but I will say I will give it a 6 out of 10 because I do think that there is some that that the potential that's there is worth noting, and the fact that I stuck with it and the fact that I had fun streaming it, I think is enough for me to be like, yeah, I'll give it a 6. Like again, if I wasn't streaming Persona 4, I probably would be more miserable with this game. I probably hate it far more than I do now, but I do think that aside from me streaming it, I just don't think it's a good Persona game. I think there are way better games out there from Atlas, and this is just not one of them. So I'll see you guys in the next video. The next game I'm gonna be talking about, as far as Persona is concerned, is Persona 2 because I did start that game, but I will return to that game after I finish Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. So there's that. I am liking SMT3. It is a really good game. SMT3 convinced me I might like SMT more than Persona, and I think that's that. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching this long-awaited Big Bun Game Club video on Persona 4. I hope you enjoyed it. It wasn't. It was a video I wanted to make for months, and it's like I never really felt confident with each take, and I think this time around I'm just gonna be happy with this take and just upload it. So thank you for your patience for waiting for this video if you've been waiting for it. If you haven't, well, I don't know what to tell you. But hopefully, I will see you guys when I stream SMT3, whenever that may be. If I'm still streaming that, I might beat that game before this is uploaded. Who knows? Who knows when this will be uploaded? But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope to see you again. Have a good week, everyone. And have a good night. And see ya when I see ya. Bye bye.